the wage increases for non-union police employees. FY21 says 0.75 cents. That decimal point should be gone. It should say 75 cents. That's a little thing, but I think it's important. And then let's see, sorry, I lost it. And then the second paragraph on the second page, under reports of standing committees, toward the end of the paragraph, it said that I moved to amend the original motion to include, quote, as many businesses as possible. That wasn't my motion. It should just say as possible. So cross out as many businesses. That's all.
Thank you, Alderman Mattis. Any other corrections to the minutes of previous meetings? I am hearing and seeing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the previous meeting with Alderwoman Mattis's adjustments, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We are on to outside the rail. Do we have members of the public here to address the board on items not on the agenda? I can't see you, so if there are people, you have to speak up.
What order do people speak?
Right now, Chris Laro, I'm hearing you. Would you like to address the board?
Sure. About a minute, couple of minutes. What's my time frame?
Yeah, a couple of minutes is perfect.
So I live in Chittenden, but I'm a social worker in Rutland for many, many years. I work with youth and single mothers and, you know, the poor, very reputable agency. But on Madison Street, near Pleasant Street, below Christ the Kings, there's a house that flies a Confederate flag repeatedly. Last year, I had a nice interface with the gentleman, and he took it down. Recently, he refuses to take it down, and I wouldn't ordinarily even worry about discussing it. But there's a young black biracial girl there. It's been living there for a very long time. Neither one of the people that live downstairs, it's a white couple that refused to take it down. And so I think what I'm asking for, and it might not be possible, but I think it might be kind of interesting to have some kind of referendum on talking about how important, whether it's private property or freedom of speech or not. I don't think those are the issues right now. If it's appropriate to even be flying a flag like that in this in the fairs, especially since, you know, down south, these flags are coming down en masse, as initiated by a lot of conservative and Republicans. And as a Vermonter and somebody who is devoted to social work in Rutland, it's kind of shameful that this is permitted, especially with a black child in that house. And so I don't really know what could be done other than protesting and doing some civil disobedience. But I think it might be positive for the town in some level to kind of come up with an ordinance or a conversation or a debate or something that would condemn that kind of behavior, you know, quite vehemently. So I want to go on record, as I have many times. I've called it NAACP many times. But we're flying the Black Lives Matter on our office porch, and we'll continue to do so. And I just think that, you know, when private speech, which is really hate speech, becomes in plain sight in the public, it's no longer really private speech. If he had flied the flag inside his house, got no problem with that. That's fine, right through the window. But this is hanging on the porch, and that little black girl goes past that flag every single day. So that's all I have, and I offer it with, you know, all the truth and morality I can come up with. But it's shameful to see that in Rutland. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for bringing this to the attention of the board.
Thank you.
Are there other members of the public here who address members of the board or items on the board that are not currently on the agenda?
Yeah, hi, this is Claudia Cristal. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Floor is yours, Claudia.
Yeah. So I apologize. I live over by Lake Bomazine, and the cell service here is not optimal at this time of the day. But I'm here to address the issue of wearing masks during the COVID pandemic. I was asked to give an opinion about community health centers' stance on wearing masks. So would you like me to begin?
Please do. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, this is the first time I've ever done this. I usually do Zoom, or I don't just do an audio opinion, so doing my best. It's a little different. So with that said, at community health centers of the Rutland region, we strongly recommend the use of masks. We do not work in our clinics without our masks on, and all of our patients that come into the clinics are expected to wear a mask when they walk in. That's a requirement in the practices that everyone wears a mask. Our stance also is that in a public place, example, restaurants, supermarkets, and grocery stores, or any place where you're out in the public, you wear a mask as well. The reason is because we don't want to spread any of the virus to our friends in the community and our partners in the community. And we also do this because we're not always sure what people in the are carrying around. You don't know when you go to the grocery store what's going on with the person next to you, when you're sitting in the restaurant, what the person at the next table might be bringing to the table. So it's very important to wear your mask when you're out walking and you're going on a hike. As long as you're practicing social distance, we do not recommend that you have to wear a mask. But if you're inside anywhere in a place outside of your home or with people that you don't know, and you're not socially, especially, this is in a home setting, it's not required. But anywhere else, we do recommend that you wear a mask. And I just wanted to support our organization and the community and say that in order for us to stay where we are with the COVID crisis, and currently, as of today, we're doing very well. Things can change at any moment. We have a lot of out-of-staters here at Lake Bomazine. They go to our clinics, especially the Castleton practice. And Vermont's a very popular tourism area at this time, which is an extra reminder as why this is so important.
Not that many.
Thank you, Claudia. Alderman Talbot.
So I share Claudia's concerns about masks and a potential spike in infections in our region. So I'd like to make a motion to refer this issue to Charter and Ordinance Committee to explore the potential for a mask order in Rutland.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion to refer the issue of masks to Charter and Ordinance Committee, and it's been seconded. Is there any debate on this issue? Alderman Torres.
Thank you. So I am going to vote in favor of sending it to committee, but at this time, I'm not supportive of a mask requirement. I do think it's a worthwhile conversation to have. So I will vote to send it to committee, but I am not supportive of requiring masks at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Torres. Alderman Clifford.
Yeah, well, I guess we can debate this in committee. I just said, I would ask that in committee, at the committee, if the city attorney would attend that meeting.
Thank you, Alderman Clifford. Alderwoman Davis.
So if I may ask Alderman Talbot, we did speak previously to this meeting, and I do support that people wear masks, and I think we're seeing that more and more folks are not, and more folks of a younger age are not necessarily putting them on. But I guess I question the reference to charter and ordinance. Are we looking to do an ordinance? That I would be concerned about, because I do not believe that this is enforceable. that's we see when you go to Price Chopper or you go to Stewart's or you go wherever, you see a sign on the door that says, please wear mask when entering. Yet there's people roaming all around the stores without a mask, and no one is saying to them, this is a requirement. I'm not sure, Chief Kilcullen's not on, Matt Prouty is, but I'm just concerned that if we do an ordinance, it's not enforceable. I think we need to do maybe a statement or a support, but I question an ordinance.
And President Wickham, can I have 2 seconds too? I'm sorry, I'm not on the video, I'm on the audio, but I was going to speak to this issue on my communications for the mayor, but I'd like to do it in the referral, if I could.
Yep, please do.
Okay, so I just want everyone on the board, before they vote on the referral, to know where I stand on this. And I stand in unison with the position that has been taken by Governor Scott. And he has advocated and continues to, and I will also, for voluntary wearing of the masks. And I understand the concern that was brought up by Ms. Corsell. I appreciate that. I absolutely advocate for the wearing of the masks. But for some of the reasons that you have just mentioned, our numbers continue to be very low. They have been low now over a period of time. I think people in Rutland, which you are, I think, more speaking to because you're speaking to the Rutland City Board of Aldermen, have taken this virus very seriously. I think no matter whether you make it mandatory or not, via ordinance or statement, the people that are going to wear a mask are wearing them. The people that are not going to wear a mask are not going to. I don't think you're going to change that behavior. And I think that this is just going to divide the community rather than bring us together. I believe that we are, I think more and more people are aware of the importance of wearing masks. I was out in the grocery store today. I think if it was 90% of the folks that I encountered in that store were wearing a mask. So, and also, of course, which was just brought up, the mandatory or the problem with enforcing a mandatory order. So for all those reasons, I'm going to continue to follow the guidance that comes out of our health department, which is the same as the governor's office. That's the state health department, and that is a voluntary wearing of the masks. And that's where I stand on that here in the city.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Am I able to speak again? This is Claudia again.
Yeah,
So I'm not, whether you guys decide or not to make this an ordinance is entirely up to you. Like I said, this is my first time doing this, and I'm just basically telling what we do at our practices. But I do want to say this: I strongly encourage people to still wear them, whether it's an ordinance or not. That again, that's up to you guys. But when we first started a month ago, if you went to the grocery store, example Aldi's, everybody there had a mask on. I was there the other day. I think myself and one other person had one on. All I'm trying to say is something kept Vermont at low numbers. Something worked really, really well. And for a long time, everybody was really doing a great job at wearing their masks. So even if it becomes voluntary, please, please encourage people when they go into grocery stores or restaurants, just encourage them to wear their masks, because that's why we're doing so great. I'm not saying it's a mandatory thing, but please strongly encourage it, especially now with all of the out-of-staters visiting our area. It's just an opinion. Okay?
Yeah.
That's all
No,
I have to
agree.
say.
And I agree with you totally on that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I'm gonna go. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Alderwoman Humphrey, I had you next.
Thanks. First, I think I am in favor of this right now. I'm curious to see where the conversation takes us. Other communities are doing this despite the enforcement concern and are figuring it out. I just want to point out, right, wrong, or indifferent, when it comes to public safety, and just recently even, we have decided to move forward with ordinances that have proven to be unenforceable because it's the right thing to do, such as the open fire fire pits open burning, as well as the fireworks, which are both, the fireworks particularly is a major concern to me, and it has proven to be unenforceable, but yet that is in the books and not changed. So I just want to remind us, if for the folks on this board that think this is the right thing to do, I think the enforcement part can be figured out as we go along. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderwoman Humphrey. Alderman Caruso.
Yes, I guess I agree more with Alderwoman Davis, who's an RN and or maybe even higher than that. My wife's a nurse, lives in a mask, works in a facility that's been in lockdown, no cases of the virus. So it works, and I'm with that. But I've also had conversations with a lot of people who are claustrophobic, a lot of people that don't like them. And I also remember in the past on this board that we've tried to make things laws, and without a state law to back it up, it's not worth the paper it's written on. So we're kind of wasting our time from my past history unless they change the laws on that. But I think Alderman Davis has hit the nail on the head. That doesn't seem like a charter and ordinance thing in a way, but it or a community development thing. I don't know where it would go, but like Ms. Porcel said, that just asking people and pleading with them or begging with them would be nice enough. And I've gone in a lot of places that have signs on the window that say we would wish you would wear a mask, which is very polite and nice, but I don't see us getting a law together, and I think we'd be wasting a lot of time trying to get one and then put teeth in it. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Caruso. Alderman Attari.
Thank you. So I think this conversation is why we need to have the conversation in committee. I think we as the city leadership need to demonstrate that we can have a productive conversation and come out on the end in somewhat of an agreement on this. I think we all generally agree that people should be wearing masks. The question we're going to have is whether or not it should be mandatory. So I think us as city leadership having a discussion in public about the value of masks and the reasons for wearing masks will help encourage mask use, even if we do not eventually mandate it. And again, I'm not in favor of mandating masks. I do think we should be wearing them, but I don't think it should be mandated. Thank you. But we should send it to committee.
Thank you, Alderman Attari. Alderwoman Humphrey.
Well, this was in response to Alderman Caruso, but I want to send it to committee, so I want to just let it get there. But I'll just remind you, leaning on our neighbors to be nice and doing the right thing hasn't worked with other things that are on the books. So this is important. We need to talk about it.
Thank you, Alderwoman Humphrey. Alderwoman Mattis.
Thank you. I believe that I agree with Alderman Attari that this is a discussion that we absolutely need to have. Whether or not we come out with an ordinance, it sounds like there's some strong voices against that. There's some strong voices for it. I think Charter and Ordinance is the right committee to have this discussion. And so I'll be voting in favor of the motion.
Thank you, Alderwoman Mattis. Is there any further debate or discussion on the issue? Alderman DePoy.
Thank you, President Wickham. I just wanted to point out, when this does go to committee, we do have an ordinance on the books that doesn't necessarily have teeth in it, but we were able to make signs, and that's the no smoking in the parks ordinance that we do have in the city. In coaching baseball over the years, whether it be down at Meadow Street or at Giorgetti, if somebody's smoking in the park, usually they don't know that it's a city ordinance. Not everybody gets the memo. So you can just point to the sign and say, hey, if you mind, just taking that either outside of the park or, putting it out until you get outside. And 100% of the time that I've pointed that out to people, they're like, oh, geez, I didn't know, I'm sorry. And they put it out immediately. I think you can do the same thing with masks. Just say, hey, there's a city ordinance. Do you mind? We really we don't want to have to enforce this. We don't want to have to put fines on it. We just want people to do the right thing. So if you did it like that and, just point to a sign or just point to, City Hall and say, this is what we have. It is an ordinance. No, there's no fine, but we would like you to do that. I think that would be completely sufficient without having to put teeth in it of a fine or arrestment or anything like that. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman DePoy. Alderwoman Davis.
So if I may, Attorney Bloomer, there is, as I think Alderman Humphrey stated, there are a couple of communities in Vermont that have an ordinance requiring masks. I'm not sure, I think it's Bennington, but I'm not sure. Anyways, so would it be possible for you to look into that, so when the charter and ordinance meeting is held, we have some idea of how other communities wrote it or how they intend to enforce it?
Yes, I can look into that and send a kind of a packet out to the board prior to that committee meeting so that folks can review what's been done in other places.
Thank you, Attorney Bloomer. Is there any further discussion or debate? I am hearing and seeing none. So we have a motion to send this to Charter and Ordinance Committee. All in favor of the referral, indicate aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Is there anyone else outside the rail who wishes to address the board on matters not on the agenda? I am hearing none, so we will move on to communications from the mayor. Mayor Allaire.
Okay, thank you very much. So there was a couple of things I wanted to touch on tonight. The first one, as I mentioned before, was the issue of masks. I had a heads up that might be coming up outside the rail, so I wanted to make sure I stated clearly where kind of where I felt on that. That was one thing. And the other issue was that's kind of in the public domain, going around the country, a little bit up in Burlington, and probably eventually getting down here, although I hope not, is the issue of, and it's being called defunding the police. That has its own connotation to it. It certainly sounds to me like that would be, eliminating the budget or significantly reducing the police budget. And neither one of them I'm supportive of. As a matter of fact, I wanted to state very clearly that not only do I not support defunding I guess I want to make sure, I will not support defunding the police, the Rutland City Police at all. And I do support 100% Chief Kilcullen and the administration over there and everything that the Rutland City Police is doing to better our community. Is there opportunities for discussion? All of us can be better at what we do. But as far as the conversation that's going around the country right now, that's nothing that I want to consider here in the city of Rutland. We're doing great things at Project Vision. I think we've been a leader, and the past administration has been a leader in putting together Project Vision, and I applaud Jim Baker, Chris Loris, and everybody else who originated the idea back in 2012, and I have continued to fully support that model as we go forward. We're about to communicate a new strategic plan, which a lot of folks have, for Project Vision, which a lot of folks have put a lot of work into. That'll be becoming public here later this week at the full Project Vision meeting, and I look forward to continuing to work supportively and positively with the Rutland City Police. So they have 100% of my support. Two other things. Later on in the agenda, you will see that Mary Markowski has a note about having a preliminary discussion about setting the tax rate. What I wanted to mention was asking the board at this time, as you get to the end of your meeting tonight, then this is a scheduling issue, to ask you to adjourn to a time certain. I would like to request if you could set the meeting to set the tax rate Thursday, July 16th, which is a week from Thursday, so it's 10 days down the road, at 5:30 in order to set the tax rate that night. I believe by that time, Mary will have all the information that she needs, we hope. We're waiting on some info from the state regarding the school tax rate. But I would like to have that discussion in and of itself at a meeting, not included, at a regular board meeting. I think that we need to have all our attention on the various pieces that are coming into setting the tax rate, because there's a lot of moving parts. You've gotten a memo from the city assessor, I believe last week, about our I've lost my train of thought. But anyway, our grand list, I was trying to find the words for grand list. Our grand list is up $14.4 million. You add that in with a business personal property, and that's an increase of $15.6 million. That's going to help considerably. And as I've mentioned before at earlier meetings, we have looked at reducing our spending for the FY21 budget to the tune of $850,000 plus. So both those things are going to help in setting the tax rate. So there's going to be quite a bit of discussion that night. I think having it on that Thursday night will benefit us. In case we get a cog in the wheel, something happens, we can always come back on Monday night, which is the absolute drop dead date that we have to set the tax rate on the 20th, which is our next board meeting. So that's a request for when you get to the end of the meeting tonight. And then finally, I had one issue I wanted to talk on a personal note, if you allow me. As many of you know, and many of you don't, I've had some health challenges this past spring. In March, I was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. I've had treatment here in Rutland at the Rutland Regional Medical Center at the Foley Cancer Center in April and May. I can't tell you and say enough how wonderful and caring and lucky we are to have them here in our community. They do a wonderful job. They're very caring people, and we're really fortunate to have them with us. During that whole period of time up to right now, I've continued to work. I've come to work just about every day. I enjoy my job. The treatment has allowed me to continue to work, and I will do that up until my next hurdle, which is what I wanted to talk about tonight. As part of my treatment plan, every doctor I've talked to has recommended some surgery for me. So in 2.5 weeks, on the 23rd of July, I am having a procedure over at Dartmouth. I will be out, I expect, at least 3 weeks, maybe longer. In the last few days, I've had a chance to speak with President Wickham on this issue. Advised him he will be the acting mayor for those few weeks during my recovery. I hope to be back in the saddle in some way by mid-August. This procedure is being called curative surgery for me. Good news is, if all goes well, I should be able to resume all my normal activities, and I will resume those normal activities cancer-free. So that's what the plan is for the next few weeks. I wanted everybody to know. I appreciate all the support that I've been given up to this time by my department heads, by folks on the board, by members of the community, and most importantly, by my family. They have stood by me 100%, as everyone has, and I appreciate that very, very much. I'm actually feeling terrific tonight, feeling terrific for the last few days, stronger every day, and we're looking forward to having a positive outcome. So that's all I have for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Lair, and I think I speak on behalf of the entire board when I say that our thoughts are definitely with you, and we're all wishing you a successful surgery and a very speedy recovery. I believe we did have one question for you, Alderwoman Ryan. Oh?
Yeah, although that seems a bit trivial now. But Dave, I am thinking of you and I wish you the best. But I had a question to one of the first things that you addressed to the board, and I just wanted to know what your definition or understanding of defund the police is. I know there are many connotations in around the country, and we see Burlington and we see other cities around the country doing this, but I think it's helpful for at least me to understand what your definition of defund is and what that would even look like going forward.
So I think that that's part of the problem. I think it's a lot of people have different perceptions of what defunding the police is, but I think the main thing we see on national TV and in the media is these really significant cuts in police budgets or police personnel. And I think that that's exactly the wrong way to go. Now, I have no problem having a discussion about, bettering ourselves, whether it's the police or no matter, what other venue it is, to deliver a better product. We can all better ourselves. But the connotation that I get from defunding the police is, as you mentioned, the city of Burlington, they made a significant cut and are going to have to let go a significant amount of their department. I believe it's up to 25 or 30, which is 25% of their force. They have over 100 on their force right now. And I don't think that that is something that we need to do here in the city. And I don't think it's something we need to even have a discussion about. We are very lucky to have leadership over there. And we are very lucky to have the men and women that we have at the Rutland City Police Department right now. And we should be supporting them 100% and letting them know that that's not going to be a part of the discussion.
Thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Allaire. Any other questions for the mayor? I am seeing and hearing none. Thank you again, Mayor Allaire.
You're welcome.
All right, we are on to additions and deletions to the agenda. One item that I have in front of me, if you will, is an additional poll and wire request that we would just put under petitions, letters, and miscellaneous, and we would take up. So please support.
Motion to add it.
And Alderman Gillum is seconded. So we have a motion and seconded to add this request to petition, letters, and miscellaneous communication. Any discussion or debate on the issue? I am hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Are there other additions and deletions to the agenda? Attorney Fuller, in particular, do you have any executive sessions you're adding or removing that I don't know about?
No, I don't have anything extra.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Very good. Then we are on to reports and letters from department heads and officials. Up first, we have Superintendent Peters, a leave donation request.
Hi, thank you. This is a request for Colleen Shattuck, who had her baby boy 2 days ago, or I'm sorry, on Thursday. She has accrual time of about 120 hours, including sick and vacation, which comes up to about three weeks, a little over 3 weeks. So we're asking that the board accepts a donation of, after she has used her 120 hours, of 150 hours from April Chaffee and 37.5 hours from Kim Peters.
I'll move to suspend the.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to suspend the rules and it's been seconded. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
And I'll move to authorize the request for donation of hours to Colleen Shattuck.
Second.
We have a motion and it's been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the issue? I am hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Superintendent Peters.
Thank you.
All right. So we are on to Commissioner Wennberg, Board of Sewer Commission wage increase request. This is page 1 of your packet. Commissioner Wennberg, the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening. First of all, there's a typo on the agenda. It's not actually it's not a wage increase request. It's a rate increase request. So we're not requesting an increase in what we pay people. We're increasing the rate that we want to charge people. So there's a very subtle but important difference there. And the people or entities that we're talking about here are the folks that deliver sludge, which is explained in the memo, and septage to the wastewater treatment plant. We have not adjusted the rate since 2018. It's been a couple of years. We're proposing a relatively small 1/2 cent per gallon increase. So one of the septage would go from 7 to 7.5 cents per gallon, and sludge would go from 8 to 8.5 cents per gallon. And this would be effective August 1st if it were approved tonight, if you were to suspend the rules. But I think we could probably get it back and get it effective August 1st, even if you referred to committee. There's some information there about how the revenues have increased over the years as a result of first lowering rates and then gradually increasing them. And there's a conservative estimate that these increases will result in about $45,000 in new annual revenue between both of them. We are just looking for every opportunity to improve the revenue picture in both the water and sewer funds for some of the traditional longstanding reasons, but also there has been a very substantial decline in consumption, billable consumption of water and sewer through the COVID shutdown. And this is going to be having a very significant impact on our financial picture going forward, depending on how long this lasts. So this is one thing we can do that is probably overdue that we can do right now. And we will complete our analysis of where we stand for the larger picture of the COVID impact. And the city treasurer and I and the mayor, I expect, will probably have some recommendations in the not too far distant future, but that's a separate question.
Alderwoman Mattis.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the rules, and it's been seconded. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Alderwoman Mattis.
And I move that the board, in our capacity as the Board of Sewer Commissioners, adopt rates for sludge and septage processing at the wastewater treatment plant. Septage being 7.5 cents per gallon and sludge 8.5 cents per gallon, effective August 1st.
Second.
We have a motion that's been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the matter? Alderman Caruso.
Well, maybe after this, a motion to refer. I try to attend meetings, and we had a Public Works or DPW, whatever we call it, meeting. And there's interesting discussion going on. We have 5 digesters over there. I understand we have one of them here that's in, major need of repair. At the rate of sewage we have going into that plant, 2 digesters is fine. Why do we have 5? Well, we're processing out of town sewage or out of town sludge. So I'm wondering if this is a high enough rate, because we need 3 digesters to process other people's sludge. And 44 years ago, I worked there. We were processing 3 to 3.5 million gallons. I've learned in committee through our city engineer, we're still processing about 3.5 to 4 million gallons a day. So it's like we have 5 digesters. We're not processing any more sewage than 44 years later. And we've got a digester that needs fixing. Are we getting enough money out of this to keep up with the repairs and keep up with stuff, rather than just slamming it on all the ratepayers too? And if anybody follow me here, we're asking for an increase, but he also says in here that we're going to have rate increases to users. And then there's a problem with the digester. We don't need 5 digesters for just Rutland City alone. I've heard that. They told me that in committee. We only need 2. But we got to have enough money to help fix the 5th one. So does anyone understand that we maybe should look at this in committee about this pricing business? That's my comment.
Thank you, Alderman Grusso. Alderman Clifford.
Commissioner Wennberg, could you kind of explain and we touch on some of the concerns that Alderman Grusso had?
Sure. If that's okay, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I see he's talking to Henry. Okay, so first of all, the city received a substantial grant quite a number of years ago to become a regional sludge management facility because multiple, I don't know, is it 19 towns, something like that, needed additional services, and it made no sense at all for them to purchase the treatment capacity. It made more sense to do that in a centralized fashion. So we have basically a regional facility ever since then. It has proven to be in recent years, as a result of some far-sighted action on the part of this board, it has been a substantial revenue stream for the city. For example, in the current year, see, I'm gonna look at my numbers here. I want to make them up. Where is it? Hold on. Yes, in the current year, which isn't closed, or the immediately closed fiscal year, but we don't have the final numbers. On septage, revenues will be about $466,000, and for sludge, $241,000. This is dramatically more than was the case 10 years ago, and so I think the investments that we've made and the decisions that we've made to do this have proven to be economically very productive for the city. The digesters that require repairs are the original digesters that were put in 1960s. We have rehabilitated 3, and these are the last 2. Bond issue has been passed and approved by the voters to complete that work, and the work is scheduled to begin either this fall or next spring, based on decisions yet to be made related to the whole COVID shutdown. So we have a longstanding commitment. We provide a service regionally and extra regionally, especially for the septage. And it is a substantial financial benefit to the overall operations of the plant. So I'm, inclined to think that we want to be very careful not to increase rates to the point that we become non-competitive, and then you increase rates to a point where people find they go to another facility. It becomes more cost effective to go to another facility. Then we would lose substantial revenues. The half-cent increase is designed to avoid that, but to increase revenues incrementally from our existing customer base. I'm not sure if that fully answers the question, but this is a long-standing commitment, and it's proven to be a very good one from a financial standpoint. I would point out also that the people who ultimately will be paying these rate increases are the surrounding towns who deliver sludge, and to anybody who has a septic system that needs to be pumped. And I believe there may be 3 or 4, Paul, you might know, septic tanks in the city of Rutland. So the vast majority of those rates go to rural areas all over southern Vermont. And so this will have essentially no impact on Rutland City ratepayers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wennberg. Alderman Grusso.
Yeah, just to follow up, thank you, Jeff. That's what I needed to hear, because we had another conversation earlier about cost to the ratepayers or whatever. So the 707,000 would grow based on that kind of usage and whatever, and that's good business. But we don't want to price ourselves out of business. That's what I needed to hear. But I want to make sure that this is not on the city people and the ratepayers when we're taking in that kind of sludge and what do you call it, septage from out of town. So thank you for a good answer, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman Grusso. Is there any other further discussion or debate on this issue? I am hearing and seeing none. So we have a motion that's been seconded to accept the rates as proposed as outlined in our memo. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are now on to withdrawal of application for exempt consecutive water systems. And this is you again, Commissioner Wennberg.
I'm under the impression that the city attorney wanted to handle that in executive session. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think
Attorney
that
Bloomer.
would, yes, that would be advisable if we move it to the end of the meeting.
So moved.
All right. All right, so we'll bundle that with the executive session you proposed as well, Attorney Bloomer. In that case, we are on to Chief Lovett, Fire Protection and First Response Grant Amendment. This was emailed, I believe, at around 6:30 today by you, Attorney Bloomer, correct?
Yes.
All right. Chief Lovett, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much for taking this up. This is an extension of the existing agreement we have between the city and the state of Vermont for fire protection for the airport. In the process of the change in administration at the station, the state working with Chief Larson never came to resolution in the negotiations. It's something that it came to the forefront in the burner, so to speak, recently when a new administrator at the state for contracts stepped forward and decided that it was time to move on this. The current agreement that we had actually expired at midnight on the 30th of June. So what I'm asking the board for tonight is after working with Attorney Bloomer and Krista from the state and Chris Beitzel, come to an agreement where we have a tentative 6-month interim contract, so that gives us enough time to sit down and revamp the existing contract to take us forward for another 3 or 4 years. And just for the new members of the board and the members of the public, the city of Rutland works 2 ways at the airport. First, if a large air carrier comes into the airport and they need to have airport fire protection, they notify us at the station, and if we can provide the staffing and we commit to the staffing, then the airport allows that large aircraft to land at the airport. That's one type of a system that we work under, and that's referred to as a 139 operation, which 5 members of your fire department train yearly to maintain. The second type of a response we have is any aircraft within a 3-mile area of Rutland Airport that declares an emergency or does have an incident. We respond on an automatic aid to the airport. So it's kind of 2 different ways we respond to the airport. We are supplemented by Clarendon, and in fact, we work jointly with them to mitigate all of the incidences we might have. We work hand in hand with them quite often. So this is an extension of an existing contract just to make sure we can keep providing that service to the air carriers and provide the service for approximately 30 to 40,000 flights coming to the airport a year. That's in and out departures. So it's a pretty important part of our community, and we'd like to keep fostering that.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to suspend the rules and seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Alderwoman Davis?
And I'll move to approve the 6-month interim fire protection and first response grant amendment for coverage for the airport.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on? Alderman Gillum. Alderman Gillum, we can't. We can see you, but no audio. Sorry, Alderman Gillum, I'm still messing.
President Whitcomb, if it's a short comment or question, he could type into the chat and we could read aloud what he says, and then he could try to get on the phone afterwards.
While Alderman Gillum is typing his message, is there any other discussion, debate on the issue? The question is, how much is the contact?
Well, is to specifically mention the money for the interim, I believe they've came forward with a $20,000 pot of money, so to speak. What happens is each time we have an operation, we would bill the airport and they would bill the air carrier. On a weekly basis, one member of the team goes to the airport and checks the truck, checks the airport, and the runways. It's kind of a familiarization, part of our continuing education. I bill the airport at the end of the month, and within a couple of days, they return a check for that monthly bill. So generally speaking, I mean, the 20,000 will more than adequately cover it until the successor contract is drafted.
Thank you, Chief Lovett. Is there any other discussion or debate? And Alderman Gillum, thanks to you, Chief. Hearing and seeing none. We have a motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, we are moving on to Treasurer Markowski, the Vermont Municipal Bond Bank loan documents for the structures, culverts, street, sidewalks, bonds. This is page 2 of your package. Treasurer Markowski.
Okay, thank you. So what you have is the documents that require signature for, it's one loan document, but it's covering the initial borrowing for the structures, culverts loan and the streets and sidewalks at $1.5 million for each, the initial borrowing on those bonds that were approved by the voters. So I'm looking for authorization, the board to authorize the mayor and treasurer to sign those loan documents.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend and it's been seconded. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Yes?
I move to authorize the mayor and treasurer to execute the bonds, documents, and authorize the city clerk to attest to their signature. This is in regard to the structure bonds for streets and sidewalks.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the matter? I am hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Treasurer Markowski. We have you up next. Again, request for waiver of tax penalty and fees. This is pages 3 through 5 of your packet.
Okay, this is not our normal course of business with penalties and fees. We never offer a waiver situation, but with COVID-19, these specific taxpayers reached out, paid their fourth quarter, but reached out to us directly that they were going to be late due to most business-related hardships due to COVID-19 and a few personal requests. So I am asking the board for permission or authorization to waive the late penalty and collector fees in the amount of $3,631.60 due to financial hardship.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Suspend the rules. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Alderwoman Davis.
And I'll move to waive the late penalty and collector's fees in the amount of $3,631.60 due to COVID-19 related to financial hardship. This is in regards to water and sewer. Is water sewer, Mary? Or
oh, I'm sorry. These are property taxes.
Property taxes. My apologies.
Second.
All right, so it's been seconded. Discussion or debate. Alderwoman Matthews.
Thank you. Mary, I'm just, so the people who reached out to you, or the business owners who reached out to you, is there, like, is it because they reached out to you, you know, responsibly in advance that makes it, you know, makes us want to do this, you know? I mean, clearly not everyone can just say, well, would you waive my late fees? So I'm just wondering what in particular makes these ones stand out. Is it because they communicated with you, you know, within a certain time frame? Could you just go more into that? Thank you.
Okay, the taxes were due on the 15th. The board approved the 10-day grace period. So these folks in particular reached out, filled out applications to be reviewed by the treasurer's office to present to you tonight. So that not only did they reach out, but they were having hardship and filed a document attesting to that with the treasurer's office.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or debate or questions for the treasurer? I am hearing and seeing none. So we have a motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Treasurer Markowski. We have you up next again. Preliminary discussion and planning for fiscal year 21 tax rate.
Okay, thank you for the penalty waiver. Appreciate that. I know when the mayor spoke, he had recommended that we meet possibly next week, Thursday, to look at the calculation and go through it for approval, which I had discussed with him, so I thought if we're able to do that. But a few notes on the tax rate that I wanted to raise. Usually at this point, we are aware of the state education tax rates. Those should be, from what I'm reading, that information should be available this week, July 10th. So then we'll have a sense of what the education rates are going to do, if they're going to go up and how much, the impact to the tax rate for that. another item that I wanted to ask that I've been working on today was due to the late filing for income taxes, personal income taxes, some of the information that we normally have from the state on the homestead declaration is going to be delayed. So what I would ask of the board to consider moving normally we will mail the bill by the 1st of August due the 31st. I'd like a 2-week delay so that we would mail the bill on the 15th of August, to be mailed by the 15th of August, due September 15th. Just a 2-week time period so that we could get another download from the state on the homestead declaration. I think it would really help the taxpayers if we could, if that is, if you're open to that suggestion. I would leave all of the other tax due dates the same, the November, February, and May, but just the first quarter, just to work around the delays with the tax filing.
Tori, I saw your hand.
Thanks. I have 2 questions now. The first one related to what you just said about moving the due deadlines. And that is part of the approvals from the state legislature that were allowed to move that due date.
Yes, that was part of that. I think I attached it with the waiver. Yes, it was included in there.
And then second, the question about the tax rate. And so I never received an email from Barry, from the assessor, about the grand list. So if someone can communicate that, President Whitcomb. I don't know if the mayor said we had gotten an email, but I didn't get one. So, but I'm very concerned about the grand list, and I've expressed this to everybody over the past 6 months or so, particularly because of the CSJ property. If you look at the BCA list of properties, there's over $15 million that is being appealed right now. And I'm really concerned on what BCA does. And then even if it stays it, who's gonna, what suits are gonna follow. And it's just such a sizable increase. I really want us to be thoughtful about that when we meet to discuss the tax rate. It makes sense to me to do this as a full board on the 16th, so I'm supportive of that. But I just wanted to, my concern about the grand list right now, and if it's going to stay that number after we set the tax rate, and what do we do about that? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Tori. Alderman DePoy.
I was just basically going to make a motion to suspend the rules, but if you want to allow some more questions on that, then that's fine.
Any other discussion or debate before Alderman DePoy moves to rules? Alderman Gillum.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Good, thank you. Mary, the reason why we're delaying this because of the federal side, because everybody filed their income taxes later, like myself, and we just got information back because I have a new tax rate. Is that why we're doing this?
Yeah, that would be why, because we expect a download from the state the 1st of August, and I'd like to capture that in the tax bills. I don't want to send out tax bills and then have a whole group of revised bills. So
I'm very much in favor of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion or debate? Alderman Caruso.
Yeah, just a quick question. So we're voting to suspend the rules. Or we're voting to move the August 31st deadline date, tax payment date, or neither.
We do need to suspend the rules. Alderman DePoy had started to.
Okay. I'm in. Gotcha. Thank you.
Motion right now, though, if that's what you're asking. Alderman DePoy.
So I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and take the issue up.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the rules. Seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Alderman DePoy.
And I'd like to make a motion to authorize the treasurer to extend the deadline for first quarter taxes to September 15th.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Is there any further discussion or debate on the issue? Alderwoman Mattis.
Does the motion need to include the delayed sending out of bills as well? Is that a matter that we need to vote on? I guess that's a question for Mary.
I guess so. So the mailing date, mailed by the 15th of August to September 15th.
I'll amend the motion to include that as stated.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion. It's been seconded. We'll make her the motion in the original second. Is there any further discussion or debate? Alderwoman Davis.
So, if I may, Treasurer Markowski, so the due date on the bill will be reflective of the September 15th date.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
I'll work with the printer. We'll have that on the bill.
Just so that taxpayers know that they've got that's a change and they've got that reprieve for a little while due to the late filing. So that's all. I just want to make sure that folks knew they had just an extended period of time.
Yes.
Alderman Gillum.
Mary, does that also include the automatic payments or the trust fund payers?
Yeah, that when we sign people up for that ACH, it's going to be taken on the due date. So that will move that from 31st to the 15th.
Okay.
Any further discussion or debate? I am hearing and seeing Alderman Garuso.
No, I just want to say, to be absolutely clear, I understand this is a good idea. It's not saying that everybody has to wait till the 15th to pay their taxes. They can pay them on the 31st or the 1st or 2nd. It's just an extension. That's an option. And like everybody will probably pay them. They did last time, I remember. So that's what we're voting on right now. Thank you.
Yeah, the issue is that you have to give 30 days from the date you mail it to the due date. So it's not giving it. So it gives that 30 days by moving that to the 15th.
Thank you. Any further discussion or debate on the issue? Hearing and seeing none. There's a motion that's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Treasurer Markowski. Anything else for the board?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now on to reports of standing committees. We have Alderwoman Davis, Public Safety. This is pages 6 and 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Public Safety Committee met on June 25th at 5:30 p.m. The topic was open burning fire pits. Present were Alderman Clifford, Talbot, Ryan, DePoy, and Chairman Davis. Others present were from the Fire Department, President Wincombe, Alderman Mattis, Ettori, Gillum, Humphrey, and Attorney Bloomer. The issue of open burning fire pits was referred to committee by Alderman Humphrey to review the ordinance, as she had received many phone calls regarding the issue, as technology for some of the fire pits had changed and there were there opportunities going forward. The fire chief reviewed the ordinance and the information letter given to residents and spoke to the fact of public safety. He stated this was a recreational issue versus cooking. The state of Vermont leaves the municipalities to develop laws to control open burning. The law is designed to protect the public. The city ordinance prohibits open burning due to the proximity of the homes and the small lots. There is also a health issue due to the homes being so close and the smoke carrying, causing complaints with those who have respiratory issues. He also stated that this issue had come before the board many times and the board has encouraged to continue the support. Alderman Humphrey asked about the enforcement and the chief responded, if a complaint is received, they respond and educate the public. She also asked regarding new technology for fire pits or fire tables, which are low flames. The chief stated safety is still a concern. Alderman Talbot and Ryan both spoke in support of the existing ordinance due to the density of the neighborhoods. Alderman Clifford asked if permits were ever given, and the chief responded for school bonfires where the department was also on site. Alderman Torrey stated at first he was not considering supporting the ordinance, but due to the health issue, it was something that made him think, and he would continue to support. There was no motion coming out of committee, as the committee chose to support and maintain the ordinance in place. So this is for information only.
Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you.
Any for Alderman Davis? I am hearing and seeing none. So we are on to reports of select committees, of which we have none. Reports of representatives, have none. So we are on official letters of communication. We have CMP pole and wire request on Church Street. This is page 8 to 11 of your packet.
I'll move to suspend the rules. What? Yes, I do.
Second.
All right. We have a motion to suspend and seconded. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
And I'll
Motion
move
carries.
to the Green Mountain Power pole and wire request for Church Street with the 7 standard conditions.
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Just so people know, Alderwoman Humphrey is abstaining from this, as she typically does, involving GSP. Any discussion or debate on the issue? I'm hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We have an additional poll request, which you do not have, but I will read off the location. It's Green Mountain Power again. This is a petition for a pole and a secondary overhead wire location within the limits of Woodstock Avenue for installation of 1 pole and secondary overhead wire. The pole will be located southeast side of Woodstock Avenue. The secondary overhead conductor will be to a pole placed at the high school's faculty parking lot for the purpose of energizing a solar canopy. There is a map that was enclosed. I'm sorry, of course, you don't have that. This would be identical to the previous request to adopt with the 7 standard conditions if you are so inclined.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion that's been seconded. Is there any debate or discussion on this issue? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. And just to note, obviously Alderwoman Humphrey would be abstaining from this as well.
I'll move to go into the Board of Control Commissioners.
Second.
We have a motion and it has been seconded. All those in favor of entering the Board of Control Commissioners, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion passes. We have first class liquor application, Angler Bar, and this is pages 12 through 16 of the packet.
I'll move for the approval and authorize the clerk to sign on the board's behalf.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on this? I am hearing and seeing all those. I'm sorry, Alderwoman Ryan.
Sorry. I just didn't know if Mary Wright was on the phone to talk about this, and is this a brand new bar or is it replacing another one?
It's replacing.
Says right on it, it was replacing one.
Well, I must have missed it.
Yeah.
Very right. Are you?
It was called
Union Jack. It's the one around the corner from Muckenschnabel's by Karamias.
Thank you.
It used to be Magoo's. Magoo's.
I wasn't alive then.
No, me either. Long time ago.
I don't believe we have Mary Wright, but we have established the long succession chain of bars there now. Alderman Talbot.
Quick clarification on the outside consumption permit for days requested, they put Sunday through Monday. Does that mean they only want 2 days a week or?
One moment.
Henry, question.
Those are the best 2 days, so, you know.
Best days, clearly. Good point, Alderman Talbot, but this, I believe, is a separate request than what we're addressing right now. We're first looking at the first and third class liquor application. We'll do that and come back to the outside consumption if we could. So is there any further discussion or debate on the first and third class liquor application? I am hearing and seeing none. So all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. So now we are on to the outside consumption from the same bar. This is page 17.
So I'll move for the approval of the outside consumption permit and authorize the clerk to sign.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Now, Alderman Talbot, back to the question. Clerk Heck, I guess I'll ask you to weigh in. To me, it appears that they're asking for Sunday and Monday.
I think it was probably be Monday through Sunday instead of Sunday through Monday. I can only assume it was just a typo on their part as far as that goes, but I can clarify that with them if you would like.
Thank you, Clerk Heck. Any other debate or discussion regarding outside consumption permit? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
And I'll move to go out of the Board of Control Commissioners.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded to exit the Board of Control Commissioners. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are out of the Board of Control Commissioners. Next up, unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business to come before the board?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to speak to, there was a referral by Alderman DePoy to Public Safety to look at the police surplus prior to setting the tax rate. And I spoke with Treasurer Markowski again today to see if we have that final number, if everything's been in, bills have been paid, but we are not there. So I'm not sure with the date that we are going to move to adjourn to set the tax rate, whether or not that meeting will occur. So I just wanted to make the board aware. I'm not sure that I'll have the information in time to have a meeting and then we set the tax rate, but we'll see.
Thank you, Alderwoman Davis. Alderman DePoy.
And I thank Alderman Davis for making the contact with Mary Markowski. According to the Chief of Police, his numbers should be available by Thursday. Hopefully that's the case, and that will give us a week before the rate setting meeting to hold a public safety meeting to discuss that surplus. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman DePoy. Is there any other unfinished business? I'm hearing and seeing none. We're on to miscellaneous motions, resolutions, new business. Alderman Caruso.
Yes, just two quick things. Had lunch today on Center Street and got to talk to Officer Blangy and some of the, just a couple of the business people down there. And by my own opinion and theirs, we're off to a good start. That looks really, really good down there. It's very functional. It's easy to park in. You don't feel like you're going to hit your mirrors, and it's wonderful. And I commend you guys for putting it together. I hope we're going to get more, because it seems like an awful little for the 20,000 we appropriated, but I'm sure it'll come in time. But an excellent thing, and I hope it continues to work. And I actually got a phone call before the meeting. Someone wanted to tell me that they think it's one of the best, most tangible moves we've seen in Rutland in a while. My other thing is I feel bad because everybody's so busy. We've been so busy and whatever, but I know a lot of people in town, and it was brought to my attention that and I've heard of the house cleaning at the fire station, that we have no one that can maintain those fire boxes, those old-fashioned fire boxes. I guess they pull them in it, And what little I know about it, I've noticed over the years, there's a bunch of red wires from pole to pole that headed to the fire station. We don't have anyone there knows how to maintain them, so we're paying an outside company to maintain those for us. And I guess they're kind of critical, but then it makes me ask, would I ask the chief, when I want to overload him with stuff, who would we ask about looking into something more modern? I mean, every one of those boxes has a wire that goes from wherever to the fire station. With cell phones and internet and all that, I'm wondering if we're maintaining a system that might have gone away with the horse and buggy. And I guess I'm looking for suggestion. Does anybody know? We need to look into it because we're paying an outside company a lot of money to maintain it. And the question is it necessary anymore? And anybody got any suggestions what we would do? Just refer it to public safety and figure it out some other time. It's not a huge hurry, but we are paying money, I guess, to fix it.
I do believe Chief Lovett is still fine. I don't know if you'd like to speak to this or look into potentially board.
Chief.
I don't know can you guys hear me? I'm having connection issues, but I believe Alderman Grusso's talking about fire alarms.
Yes.
I didn't get what you were asking, Sam. Sorry.
Someone told me, a couple of people brought to my attention that we have to hire outside people to maintain those, and it's now costing us additional money. Where I remember as a kid at Christ the King, the firemen used to come in and work on them themselves, and it was something that was a practice since the city was founded. But it leads to a new question of, are those still necessary? I mean, isn't there something more modern we could get so there's not all those wires? I mean, I've seen the wires, like especially on East Center Street, there's quite a few red wires headed over to the fire station. It's a pretty antiquated system. And Bill, how would we look into maybe getting rid of the system, getting something more modern and something that maybe lower maintenance and less cost to the city, but being better?
Well, it is an old system. It's based on the telegraph system. Because of it being that old, it's amazingly reliable. How many systems do you have that are over 100 and some odd years old that are still functioning in today's technology? It is true. We do hire outside of the city now to a private contractor because it is old technology, and it is something that we don't have anyone currently in the station that is skilled in that modality. And it's one of those things where some of the more higher tech companies out there that do install these systems also come with hiring an outside contractor because it would be outside the realm of what we could provide. There is certainly some advantages to looking at it. I've been working with the mayor and the contractor to get the system back up into shape because it had fallen into decline over the last couple of years. There have been some issues with it, and I know public safety has looked at it a few times, but rest assured, it is functioning. We are getting a good service out of that, but it does require some investment on the city side.
Thank
so
you,
my
Chief
question,
Lovett.
yeah, thanks, Chief. So my question is, should I bother referring something like public safety usually covers fire to maybe look at the condition of it, and is it affordable to change in the long run, or are you happy with just leave it alone for now?
Well, I know it was referred to public safety in the past, and along with were some of the users of the system paying their fair share. And that was something that was in committee, and I know it's been researched and looked at a few times before. If you folks would like to have a discussion with that again, certainly I'd be willing to come to the table and we could talk it out.
All right, well, if you're okay with it, I'll make a motion. It doesn't have to happen in the next couple of weeks, but a motion that we just look into the Rutland City Fire Department call box system and its future. Is that a fair statement?
Sure. By all means.
Is that a
I'll
fair
second it
motion,
for
Mr.
debate.
Chairman?
All right, so we have a motion and it was seconded by Alderman Clifford for debate to refer the old call box to public safety. Alderwoman.
Thank you. I apologize. Fires, crackers going off and fireworks going off, and my dog is barking, so I apologize if you picked that up. But to Alderman Caruso's point, this has been in committee, and I'm glad to look at it again. I've met with Mr. Giancola, Mr. Foley, and Mr. Fucci a number of times. I'm sure that's who's been discussing it in the fact of fees. It does certainly give them a better insurance rate when they have a direct connection to the station. The problem is that it is an expense to the city. And there was some discussion that they wanted, there was some discussion of how that cost gets deferred to all the taxpayers, which I do not agree with. I don't have an alarm on my house, and I don't want to pay for one. I don't want to pay for the ones that exist. I think Billy would have to research the cost, and I'm assuming bonding, and it would have to be whether or not the businesses who currently have an alarm wish to continue with an alarm. Yet, and there is also another company they can go to. They don't have to deal with the city. So I'm not really sure what to do because we've looked at it and we talked about it. I think what I would prefer is that Chief Lovett have an opportunity to see what is out there, what would be the cost, and is it prohibited by cost? And basically it comes down to the fact of, do these people still want them on their buildings so they have a direct connection to the city?
To be absolutely clear, I think it was two came up to me originally, and then later two other Rutland City firemen retired, and one of them saw a box of burned wires and all this junk from an old system. I'm not talking about private buildings. I understand that out on the poles, there's a lever that you pull. I've never pulled one, and it calls the fire engines, you know? I've got a cell phone. I don't need a lever to pull whatever. That's what I'm talking about. Is this old? Do we have these sitting on telephone poles and around the city if we're maintaining them for no reason whatsoever? That's my point. Nobody's driving this other than we're spending money fixing something that's pretty darn old. That's what the motion is for.
Alderman Caruso, you're correct. There are a few pole boxes still on telephone poles around the city. Most of these boxes appear on buildings around the city. Some are privately owned buildings. Also, a good majority of them are city-owned buildings. And so I can get a breakdown of that, and we can meet in committee or however you folks choose, and we can take a serious look at it. You know, it is a system that you know, it should be visited once in a while, and I'd be happy to sit down with you folks and we could talk about it.
Thank you.
Alderman Attari.
Thanks. You know, I was reminded of our tours of the fire department, or I guess it was last year at this point, by former Chief Larson, who indicated a number of things that needed to be worked on. I'm wondering if the referral isn't a bigger referral about some of those pieces, because I remember the what do you call it when you dispatch system that they have, and the age of that. I mean, I think that there's a lot of pieces, and I don't know if you know when the right timing is, but that was under Chief Larson, pieces that he wanted to do. And I'm wondering if the fire department, you know, has other things that they'd like to work on or fix. So I don't know if it needs to be a bigger thing, but I'm just reminded of like those old boxes, and then we have this old dispatch system as well that I know was really expensive. So, you know, I don't know if they're together, but if the Chief Lovett wanted to put any of that kind of stuff together too, you know, we'd all be forward to listening from our new chief. So thanks.
Thank you. So we have a motion and it's been seconded to refer the old call box system to public safety. Is there any further discussion or debate? I'm hearing and seeing none. So all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
We put them to sleep.
Thank you. Is there any other miscellaneous motions, resolutions, or new business to come before the board? Alderman Clifford.
Just, Mr. Chairman, if I could, I just wanted to just let the board know that I will be scheduling before the month's end DPW committee meeting to address the status of the water meter program that we've been, kind of following and, getting up to speed on, once a month. So I will be scheduling something before the end of the month.
Thank you, Alderman Clifford. Any other miscellaneous motions, resolutions, or new business? If not, we have a handful of executive sessions. Before I turn it over to Attorney Bloomer, we discussed earlier, for simplicity's sake, making all of our executive session motions at once and into executive session, discussing the issues one at a time, and then adjourning back to the full room to vote on anything as appropriate when we come out. This would be different than going in, going out, going in, and going out. The purpose being technology isn't necessarily perfect. Hopefully, this makes it a little bit easier on all of us. With that, I will turn it over to you, Attorney Bloomer.
Thank you. And just before I get into the substance of it, I think the other thing that you and I talked about was just giving some instruction to any of the public that and the any reporters that are interested in the action that we end up taking, is that when we leave this room, it will likely kick everybody out. But if you log back in immediately to the same room, you'll kind of be in a waiting room. And as soon as everyone's back, it'll repopulate with everybody's pictures and everything. So again, to the extent that anybody's interested in any action that we take after the executive sessions, you just need to log back into the same room and just wait for us to get back. That being said, I may be able to save us one executive session, and that's with respect to the continuation of the lease for the CSJ facilities. I had sent you the proposed lease, I think, at some point last week, with a red line against what you had previously approved that ran through June 30th. So we're actually kind of holding over, squatting in the gym, I guess, right now. But this new lease would be retroactive to July 1st. So I can go through very quickly and just highlight for everybody the changes that were made from the previous lease. And then if people have substantive questions, then we may want to go into executive session. If people are satisfied, then you may be able to just take a vote and avoid going into executive session for this one. But basically, if you have any questions that you think would be a disadvantage for Heritage Family Credit Union, who's on the other side of this lease, to sort of be privy to those conversations, or how you feel about something, or if you want to renegotiate, then we should go into executive session. If you just have kind of clarification type questions, we can do those in open session without fear that it would really affect the negotiations, I don't think. And in this case, they've actually already signed this version, so not to say that we can't change it, but they're happy with this version and they've signed it. So if we end up authorizing the mayor to sign, then it'll be in place as early as probably tomorrow. So does that sound like a plan that I'll just quickly highlight for everybody what the changes were from the kind of existing lease? I don't see any no's. Okay. Okay, so the main changes are, previously we were leasing just the gym and the athletic field. Now there is a, sort of a larger proposed piece of property that the city is interested in purchasing. So we'd be leasing that larger piece, which involves some of the wooded area out back of those two facilities. Plus, there's a maintenance building at the back of the parking lot that we would be also leasing. The rent would remain at 0. The lease would go through either the closing if there's a positive vote in the November election for the bonded amount that is needed to purchase the property. If for some reason there's a no vote, the lease would terminate December 31st. So we'd have some time to collect our belongings and move out of the property. We took out this piece. Originally, we had something in there where we'd made some investments in the heating system. So we wanted to make sure that if there was another third party that came in and purchased the property, that we would be reimbursed for the investment that we made. Given that we're basically being given the first right of refusal here with the MOU that we entered into. We've taken that part out. It's not really applicable anymore. Because we talked about, and again, this was in the MOU kind of said that we would continue the lease on the same terms as the previous one. So that's kind of why not much has changed in this. But there are some things that just aren't either not applicable anymore or need to be clarified. So one of those things was in the original lease, we had agreed that the first $9,000 in rental fees would be credited to the outstanding water bill on the property. We've applied $3,000 of rentals to that so far. So we've reduced this to $6,000 in this lease. And Heritage Family Credit Union actually paid up all of the water and sewer accounts. So the money would just be sent to them directly rather than credited to the water bill. I don't know if Kim is still on, but between now and a potential purchase, depending on, I guess, the state of COVID-19 and those issues, there may not be a ton of rentals. I think that the thought was we would have some basketball tournaments and different things that might generate some money, and I don't think those are as likely to happen. But Kim, are you still on? You could just briefly speak to that if you're still there, or otherwise I can keep going if she dropped off. All right, I don't hear her. So let's see. And then the final change was that we made clear that Heritage Family will be responsible for the taxes during the period of the lease. That was kind of a sticking point, but based on the agreement that we made to put something on the ballot for November, they agreed to pay the taxes during the term of the lease. So those are the substantive changes. And like I said, if you have questions, feel free to ask. We can go to executive session if you think it'll be a longer discussion.
Are there any questions for Attorney Bloomer? I am actually hearing and seeing none. So that being the case, Attorney Bloomer, we just need a motion to accept the lease agreement as proposed and authorize the mayor to sign.
Yeah, I think you'll need a suspension of the rules first, and then just authorizing the mayor to sign the lease with Heritage Family Credit Union, in substantially the form presented.
So I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the rules. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion Alderman Roy.
And I will make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the lease with Heritage Family Credit Union, extending the lease at St. Joe's Athletic Facility as described by the city attorney.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Well, thank you, Attorney Bloomer. I think you saved us one executive session.
Okay, so we'll do our set of motions now. So the first set will be in relation to Commissioner Wennberg's agenda item that we moved down to the end of the meeting here. So we'll need a motion to find that premature general public knowledge regarding the city attorney's analysis of a legal matter would clearly place the city at a substantial disadvantage because the discussion will include confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the city.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Attorney Bloomer.
And then a motion to enter into executive session with the inclusion of the mayor, commissioner of public works, the treasurer, and city attorney to discuss the city attorney's analysis of a legal matter as allowed under Title I, Section 313A1F.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Attorney Bloomer.
Okay, and then the second executive session, the motions would be the motion to find that premature general public knowledge regarding probable litigation to which the city would be a party would clearly place the city at a substantial disadvantage because the discussion will divulge the city's strategy in such probable litigation and will include confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the city.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion that's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
And then a motion to enter into executive session with the inclusion of the city attorney, the mayor, and the treasurer to discuss probable litigation as allowed under Title I, Section 313A1E and Title I, Section 313A1F.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and it's been seconded. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
See you on the other side.
Is that it, Attorney Bloomer?
Yep, that's it. And I would say we should come back, even if there's no action, we should come back to adjourn so anybody that's waiting knows that we're done.
Understood. Alderman Clifford.
I don't think I heard the city attorney. Is the commissioner invited into that as well? Did I hear his name?
Yeah, the first one, and then I guess we'll kick him out for the second one.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.